Now joining us on the Toyota of Hollywood hotline, let's talk some Canes, let's talk some Notre Dame. Alex Donno, the great Donno. Shop over 2,000 Toyotas on sale at one location, Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan, toyotaofhollywood.com. Donno is probably responsible for our favorite moment in show history, and it didn't, or several of our favorite moments in show history, and I don't think
all of them embarrassing.
All of them embarrassing, mostly for me, and none of them even took place on this show.
Suge night. Donno, you know Suge?
Oh, yeah. Club Suge.
Hey, Donno, you couldn't have just cut me off before I embarrassed myself with that and the golf update? Update, Donno.
Was it Tringale, Triangle? Oh, man.
Tringali.
Epic. I'm surprised ESPN didn't call you that day to be a new Sports Center anchor. Like, we got a Golf Channel. We got to get this guy on for the Tringale updates.
Be on
and be Horschel. No joke, though. Alex Donno, you are the host of the Locked On Canes podcast. Nobody is covering the Miami Hurricanes better right now than Alex Donno. I recommend everybody, if you're not doing so already, go subscribe to the Locked On Canes podcast and obviously follow Donno on Twitter at Alex Donno. And we're lucky to have you, Donno. You're doing the postgame show this season as well, right? For the WQAM broadcast?
Yeah. So, we got a night game coming up for the first one. So we'll be up late, probably till 1 a.m, something like that. Yeah. Hopefully talking about a win, guys. I got to get my mindset right for this.
Yes. That's a cafecito special, Donno. Double espresso shot at around.
Well, we had one last year. I did post game after the Cal game, which was a 10:30 start time. At some point my soul left my body during the post game show, but I think we were on till 4 a.m. I might have fallen asleep at 2, but the show was on till 4.
So, Donno, you mentioned hopefully a victory. Walk us through, what does a Hurricanes victory look like on Sunday? We know it's a top 10 battle. We know the Hurricanes didn't lose a game at home last season. We know the Hurricanes haven't lost to Notre Dame in Miami going back to, I believe, 1977. What does, and the Hurricanes, I think, are undefeated in September the last 2 seasons. What does all that mean for a game like this when you have a team that was in the national championship game? What does a win look like for Miami?
Yeah, I think first things first, have to limit Notre Dame's dynamic rushing attack. Every time, and I listen to what a lot of other people are saying about this game, especially on the Notre Dame side, and for good reason. They can't stop talking about Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, which excellent running back duo and a good offensive line at Notre Dame. Now, when Notre Dame went up against top 10 opponents last year, I think they averaged about 70 yards on the ground per contest. So Miami's a top 10 team, so hopefully that holds up this year. But really, Miami's front seven being up to the task. You make an important addition to your linebacker core like Mo Toure from Rutgers, who's a really good run stopper. You've got a younger guy in the interior of your defensive line getting a really big opportunity. Justin Scott, I expect to play a lot this year, a former 5-star recruit from a couple of cycles ago. You got players like Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor on your defensive line. They have to be up to the task of just not letting Notre Dame run all over you, because that's what they're going to want to do, guys. The Irish have a first-time starting quarterback, CJ Carr. He was a great player in high school, I guess, but he's got 0 collegiate snaps to this point. So, if you can limit their running game, you try to force CJ Carr to beat you. That's where hopefully you can get guys like Bain and Mesidor pinning their ears back and making CJ Carr's life difficult in the backfield. So that's on the defensive side of the football. On offense, I also think Miami needs to definitely establish a running game. You look at Notre Dame's defensive secondary. They've got great corners. They play man coverage. Christian Gray, one of their corners, is probably one of the very best in the country. It's difficult, or it has been difficult to throw the football against these guys. So obviously Miami, who also has a big physical offensive line, and I like Miami's offensive line a little bit better than Notre Dame's. And you've got a good trio of running backs with Mark Fletcher, Jordan Lyle, and Shamar Brown, who transferred in from North Dakota State. All of those guys are between 205 pounds and 225 pounds. So you've got those big physical body types to hopefully wear down the defense. And then, you have to hope that Carson Beck can hit some big plays without making any critical mistakes, because, the Irish are a team that has thrived on forcing turnovers and takeaways defensively. I'm encouraged by how well Beck has done during training camp, and he's built a lot of fast chemistry with his receivers. Like, I think, again, training camp is training camp, though. This is the real thing coming up on Sunday. So you got to hit some plays downfield. We all remember when Notre Dame beat Penn State in the national semifinal game. They didn't allow a single reception by a Penn State wide receiver. That may have been as much of an indictment on Penn State's, receivers as it was the other way around. But it's something that did happen. And last thing I'll note on Miami getting hopefully a victory here. You talk about Carson Beck. I love the fact that he has big time experience in big games. I heard the stat today. This will be the 8th time he goes up against a top 10 team in his career. Started the past 2 seasons at Georgia. He's got a 5-2 record against top 10 teams. I think both of those losses were to Alabama, who's been no slouch, of course. So he's hoping to improve to, I think, 6-2 against top 10 opponents this week. So there's nothing that guy hasn't seen before. We just have to see it all get put together on the field this week.
And Donno, this isn't going to be in my opinion, let me know if I'm wrong, this isn't a dance contest. This is a rugby match. That's what Notre Dame wants to do. They're going to run the ball. They're going to go downhill. To your point, C.J. Carr has no snaps in college. They're not letting him throw the ball 40 times. They are going to test your oil, as we used to say. Should UM play into that? Because, like, you have Beck, where let Beck do what Beck does, but also you don't want to cause those turnovers with the great secondary.
Yeah.
Gambling wise, I took the under. I don't think it's going to be a 40-30 game. I think it's going to be a 17-13 game. Yeah. But should UM play Notre Dame, almost get in the mud where Notre Dame wants to get in the mud?
You raise a great point. I think probably both teams in the first quarter are going to kind of see how much they get away with on the ground. But with that said, it would not shock me if maybe Miami's first play or within the first couple of plays is a shot downfield, right, to test that Notre Dame secondary. Because like you said, if you turn this into, like a 1950s style 3 yards in a cloud of dust type of game, maybe that does favor Notre Dame. Whereas, Miami's got an experienced quarterback and a lot of weapons. They're unproven weapons, Crowder, at least unproven in Miami, because you did bring in a guy, C.J. Daniels, who's a 6-year senior at receiver, ton of experience. Keelan Marion from BYU's got some experience. Tony Johnson from Cincinnati. But outside of that, you've got, young guys like JoJo Trader, who's heading into his second year, hasn't played a whole lot. Actually, a couple of the best performers for Miami at receiver in camp have been true freshmen at receiver. Malachi Toney, I wouldn't surprise me if he starts. I mean, we're not going to know until they kick it off, because Cristobal doesn't mess around with pregame depth charts. We'll find out on Sunday at some point, but he's performed really, really well. So we'll see how much he gets counted on for a big game like this. But I'm with you. I think Miami may be the team more equipped to go downfield in this game. But also, I'm wondering what the weather is going to look like, because, of course, weather in Miami can change hour to hour. I'm looking at a 70% chance of rain. So I don't know if this is going to be like a mud bowl type of thing. I hope not, but I guess we'll find out a few hours before kickoff.
Speaking to that, and what Crowder's idea of this game is going to look like, we were talking with Joe Z on Monday, and he said, something along the lines of, this is the most Mario team that he's put together since he's been here. He also said he thinks it's Cristobal's most talented roster. We'll find out, right? But when he says Mario's team, I think he's talking about the type of players that Cristobal has been able to put, in uniform, but also develop since he's been here and recruit. Donno, do you feel the same way? Like the size of the players, the type of guys that Cristobal is getting at Oregon, do you feel like the Canes are closer to being that team than they were maybe last year or 2 seasons ago?
Yeah, it's not even close. And you can look at the physical size of the players on the back end. You go bring in Xavier Lucas in the transfer portal from Wisconsin. He's, over 6 foot. He's a 215, 220 range. OJ Frederic is 6'1", over 200 pounds. I think every single defensive back on Miami's roster, except for one guy, is 6 foot tall. or larger. And then, of course, line of scrimmage speaks for itself. I mean, this is probably the best offensive line Miami's had. They've had some good ones over the last couple of years. I mean, everyone knows about the right side. I mean, CeCe Maui-Noa is probably going to be a first-round draft pick. Nez Cooper at right guard has been really stellar. But the left tackle, who's a couple of years ago was a JUCO transfer, but Markel Bell has worked his butt off to be. Cristobal told me he's the most improved player on the roster since last year, and the guy's 6'9", 340. So, I mean, if you just look at the body types that they have in there, you're 100% right, and Joe Z was spot on. Like, this is the most Mario Cristobal roster that Mario Cristobal has had. And another thing, I mentioned the running backs all being over 200 pounds. Like, you notice over the last couple of years, Miami's had a couple of smaller running backs on the depth chart, and it just hasn't worked, right? Where, so you look at a guy like Brashard Smith, who was actually a Miami slot receiver a couple of years ago, but he transfers to SMU. He's like 175, 180 pounds. He had a really good year at running back, but like that works in SMU's offense, doesn't work in Miami's offense. Like Miami had Chris Johnson, who was a smaller running back. He transferred to SMU. He's going to be this year. We'll see how he does, but that's not like a Miami type of back, like the Mario Cristobal type of back, or, their smallest running back is Jordan Lyle at 205 pounds. Their other guys are in the 215 to 225 range. So it's definitely the most Cristobal of rosters that he has had. And I'm cool with that because, bigger, stronger players tend to push the smaller guys around. But I also like the idea of the head coach after, 3 full recruiting cycles and 3+ transfer portals, finally having the roster that like really seems to fit the style of football he wants to play. So I think that opens up a lot of possibilities for Miami.
And Donald, something else I asked Joe Z, great point. He was like, if they win, they jump in the top 5. If they lose, they're in the 20s. Like it's some reason is just they're extremes when the voters come up.
Yeah.
What does it mean? This litmus test? Because my thing is I really believe it's going to be a field goal late either way. If is what is supposed to be, I'm friends with Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, Donno, he's wearing a Notre Dame t-shirt.
I'm friends with Marcus Freeman, Donno. I was just in South Bend, they gave me a swag bag and everything. Donno's upset with me. But no,
a little bit, yeah.
But Donno, the litmus test of this, like, I don't think it's going to be an ass kicking either way. But if they can beat Notre Dame, what happens if they beat Notre Dame? And what if Notre Dame ekes out something late? Does it show you anything about this team?
I mean, I would objectively say that if Miami is super competitive with a team that came in second place last year, I could probably look at that and say, like, look how far this roster has come in the past 4 or 5 years, right? Because I can remember, I guess it was during the Manny Diaz era when Miami opened up a season against Alabama one year, and it was a bloodbath. Like, it was like, hey, we just don't have the same sort of athletes that they have. So, yeah, I see what you're saying. At the same time, I think that there's enough justified hype in this roster that I think that for most Miami fans, even if you lose the game by a point, I think there would be a big sense of disappointment. Like, I don't think fans would come away from it like looking for any sort of a moral victory. And also there's this long-standing hatred for Notre Dame. I mean, the real ones, the older Miami fans, I'm getting up into that group now. Maybe the 25-year-olds don't remember the hatred for Notre Dame, but the older ones do. That's why they're all very angry at Crowder's t-shirt today, as they should be. But, and listen, bottom line, if you do lose this game, and I do not want that to happen, but you still got everything in front of you in terms of, if you win the ACC, they're not going to deny you of a college football playoff spot. You still want to beat Florida, who's on the schedule. But I get it. Like, if Miami is competitive in this game, you can say, look how far this team has come, that you can play like that against, top 5 or top 6 technically team in the country and a runner-up from last year. But I think they've raised the standard so much in terms of the talent level. I do get like a win or bust type feel to this in a certain point of view.
Even just getting to the ACC championship, not that it guarantees you a spot in the top 12, but if you're in the ACC championship, you probably have 9-10 wins under your belt. There's a good chance you're in there. Hard Rock Stadium is going to be rocking for the game, Donno. And again, you can listen to Alex Donno after the game, after Joe Zagacki and Don Bailey Jr. the Canes post-game show right here on 104.3 WQAM, Miami sports leader. Donno, no Aperol Spritz talk today because Hawk had to jet a little early, but here's my tip to probably the most Italian person I know, a true Italiano. The Publix tiramisu.
Ooh, I don't know if I've had that one.
The Publix tiramisu, Donno.
It's better than Italy?
I'm not kidding. Better than anything I had at the Piazza Navona, at the Piazza Michelangelo. Better than anything I had near the Colosseum. I am telling you that the tiramisu at Publix might be the greatest dessert I have ever had in my entire life.
Donno, what did he just say, Donno?
Tiramisu.
That's how it's supposed to be said?
Of course. You just have no culture, Crowder.
Tiramisu. Yeah.
Tiramisu. Y'all are crazy. Tiramisu.
So you're okay. So I'll trust you on this because the last time I got Italian food advice on this show, it wasn't from Solana, but Hawk basically told me the tour of Italy at Olive Garden is better than anything you'll find. And I disagree. I had it a couple weeks ago. It was bang average. So I'm going to trust Solana on this.
Go to Publix, Donno. It's like $3.99, and it comes in. It's not like a small dessert; it's a big dessert. It comes in like a big little plastic thing, and just eat it right out of there, Donno. I am telling you,
what's it
the
called?
Best dessert, the tiramisu, is the best dessert I have ever had. And I'm a big, we've talked about this. The key lime pie from Publix, I maintain is the best key lime pie in Florida. By far better than the Keys. Miss me with those lime green buildings. The Publix tiramisu, Donno. You're welcome.
Try it. I'll try it as soon as this weekend, if not tonight.
Okay. Can't wait. Can't wait for your review on Twitter. Alex Donno, best in the business covering the Canes. Donno, we love you, man. Seriously. Follow all his work on Locked On Canes and hopefully get a dub this weekend, man.
I love you guys, but I was mainly here to see Jimmy. So thanks, Jimmy.
Appreciate you, Donno.
Jimmy forgot he could talk. He forgot he could turn on his mic.
I found my voice.
On the audio medium, big dog.
We're running late. We'll take a break. Hockman, Crowder, and Solana, the 4 o'clock hour is next.